Hobby Quick Hits, delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 235 of Hobby Quick Hits. We're a week late than our normal slot. I apologize for that. But, we're going to talk about why I'm a week late. It's the National. Came back from the National, and I'm still playing catch up with orders, getting orders shipped, catching up on content, life stuff that's non-hobby related. So a lot to cover, a lot to do. We're not going to do our news segment or our product release segment on this episode, so we can talk more about the 46th National in Chicago. 47 will also be in Chicago next year. Start making your reservations and planning your itinerary accordingly. So let's get right into it and skip sort of the formalities, right? I got there on Tuesday, had to fly. It's about a 13-hour drive. If I was to do that, that's a little bit too much for an old guy like myself. And so flew in Tuesday, got my media badge midday there at noon. Hung out with a couple friends. Also had tickets to the White Sox game that night against the Yankees. Traffic was terrible. Had a rental car, but thought I left early enough, but traffic was terrible. Was traveling with my friend Brian, and we got there in the bottom of the second inning. Pretty low scoring game. Garrett Cole was striking out a lot of White Sox hitters. The Yankees wound up winning it 3-2, even though Chase Madroth hit a 2-run homer in the ninth to make it interesting off of David Bednar. But the Yankees held on and won 3-2. I always try to catch an event outside of the hobby when I'm in a sports town, if possible, and did so. Last year was the Phillies White Sox, with the White Sox winning 14-5. This year was the Yankees White Sox, with the Yankees winning 3-2. So Tuesday was just sort of, an easy day. Pick up your passes, and again, attended the game and then get ready for the show on Wednesday, which started midday, and no trouble there, and fairly quiet, not a crazy Wednesday. Obviously, you get into the Friday, Saturday part of the show. That's when it's really, really, really busy. And I always go into the National with a list of 5 to 10 cards with the hope to get 2 to 3 for the personal collection. I'm always open to buy inventory for my showcases as a dealer for the shows that I set up. And sort of that's kind of my MO. And, I'll talk about the pickups. I was able to pick up two cards for the personal collection, and probably 2 at the near of that top of that 10 card list, in a Ernie Banks PSA 2 rookie and a Pete Rose rookie PSA 3. And they're both, I guess it's easy for me to say, but they're both eye appeal wise better than their grade. And I've posted on my social media. If you want to see what I'm talking about, just check out Sports Card Nation. Look around National Week, and you'll see those. And I bought these cards from the Las Vegas dealer brothers, Dave and Jim. I've bought a prior purchase, I think 2 years ago from them, was a PSA 4 Bob Gibson rookie. An interesting story how I even made this purchase. So I believe it was Tuesday night or Wednesday night. I went to dinner with some hobby friends to Giordano's, a tradition. Anytime I'm in Chicago, got to have some deep dish pizza. We don't really have that here in New York for obvious reasons. I like it just the same. And so I was coming out of Giordano's, and Dave and Jim were walking in, and, we made some small talk, and they asked, like, hey, is there anything you're looking for? and I mentioned some stuff, and they're like, we just bought a pretty decent collection, and we have, a Rose and a Banks rookie. I told them I wasn't, in the market or in the budget for high grades, but I gave them kind of a ballpark of the grades, and they're like, "Hey, we think we can help you out. After dinner, we'll text you what we have, and we can go from there." So later, actually, the next morning, I got a text with some pics and a price, and I won't go into all the gory price details, but liked what I saw, at least on picture wise, and told them that, I had a main stage the next morning, but as soon as that main stage was over, I'd head over to their tables and see the cards in person. They're on the second floor along with the Mike Burkus main stage. A little off tangent here, but the Mike Burkus main stage is now on the second floor of the Donald Stevens Convention Center. A lot of new stuff, audio equipment, video equipment, and in past years, we were always, if you were on a panel, you were just in some folding chairs and behind kind of you know, folding tables with tablecloths. Well, they redid that, like I said, a lot of new equipment, microphones, and furniture. They have real lounge chairs and couches, and so very big difference. More comfortable, feels more professional. So I did that main stage with the Sports Collectors Digest group, and as soon as that was over, we took some photos, talked, and then I made a beeline over to Dave and Jim's table up on that second floor. Now, I will say this, there's more dealers there. Last year was really, really tight. This year was still tight. It was difficult getting in and out of there, especially when most people have backpacks. So hopefully if they continue to do it on the second floor in Chicago and Rosemont, maybe they can make those aisles wider for comfortability, not only for the vendors, but for the consumers as well. So made my way to Dave and Jim's table, saw the Banks and Rose rookies in person. And, again, I'm not a gory detail guy, but, we haggled a little bit and finally came to an agreement on price. I paid in cash for those two cards, and those were my first two purchases of the show, and very pleased with them. You see them, if you watch my content on video, you'll see them behind me on those acrylic desk cases. And so, and also, I like to do business with people who I like and know, and are good people. And Dave and Jim are really good people. They've been a guest on Sports Card Nation, and really, guys doing it the right way. I know they missed the National here where they didn't get a table. I think it was last year, but they got a table this year. Good for them, and hopefully that continues to be the case. They're from Las Vegas, so definitely a trip for them. In previous episode, I mentioned that their luggage got lost momentarily for a few days. Thankfully, that didn't happen to them this time. So, had my first purchase, Banks rookie, Rose rookie. Very pleased with those purchases, and had some time. Obviously, I try to cover as much ground as you can. You meet people, you talk to people. I've never been short or cut anyone short. It's not my MO. If someone's willing to say hello or talk to me, I try to be courteous in that fashion. Wound up later on just kind of to close out my purchases at the show. A few days later, I bought a good, nice stack of vintage stars. I don't know the proprietor's name, but he was having a 50%, he said, had a great show. My gift to you, remaining inventory, 50% off. And he had shoe boxes and monster boxes of all sports, non-sports, vintage, some modern, and got quite a bit of vintage stars for my dealer inventory, for my showcases, for my inventory there. Got a really great deal. He was priced fairly to begin with, and then when you add the 50% off on that, that was very good as well. Now, I think we all know, right? You got to expect some sticker shock at the National. It's expensive to attend. It's expensive to set up as a dealer. When you think of all your expenses, travel expenses, your table fee, your hotel, your food, right? I'm not trying to have a pity party, but you've got to expect a little sticker shock. But I will say this, two things. I don't think the sticker shock was as bad as I expected or in past years. And I also felt many of the dealers I spoke to were very reasonable. They were willing to, negotiate and haggle and come down off a price. Most of them. So, everyone to each their own. But I think the majority of the room was willing to negotiate. When we think about the modern market, Jordan stuff was insane. Priced very well and selling very well. Otani, not that he's sneaking up on anybody, but I think people are really starting to realize like what he's doing is out of this world, and he's still got probably a good, barring an injury, a good double-digit years of baseball potential. He's 31 years old. So he could do some damage in the next 2 years into his just when he turns 40. And even if he doesn't pitch again, he's just doing some incredible stuff. So Otani stuff was selling, moving, and priced high. Griffey Jr. Was up as well, and I'm sure I will leave certain athletes out, but I know his stuff was moving and priced with an upward tick. And that Pinnacle, I think it's 97, Pinnacle, the one where he's blowing a bubble, that card somehow went from being a $2 card to a $50+ card. It's mind-boggling, to be quite frank. It reminds me of the Bo Jackson, black and white scorecard, sort of the rise that had all of a sudden very quickly. Billy Ripken, F-Face era card. Again, those continue to rise. I think Ricky Henderson rookies were up there as well with his passing, in the past calendar year. And some sticker shock, but really there was deals that could be had if you were smart and shopped around. It was crowded, obviously, on Saturday was, to me, the busiest day. You had to sort of finagle to get in front of a table or showcase space, but you could do it. It wasn't impossible, like it felt like in some years. I will say this, a lot of corrections on the positive side, right? We've been past years of National where it's hot, where you're sweating through your shirt. It was cold, to tell you the truth, and it was warm outside or hot outside, but the National AC was blowing strong. It was chilly in there, and if you give me a choice between sweating my you-know-what off and being a little chilled, I'll take the chilled over any day, because you can always wear a hoodie or a light windbreaker. When it's hot, you can't walk around shirtless at the National, and you probably wouldn't want people to do that, even if it was okay to do. So I will say this, definite improvement on the temperature market or department. Wi-Fi, I didn't have any issues with my phone. Looking up things, reading stuff, getting messages. In past years, I remembered I texted my son from the show, and he never got the text till like 3 or 4 hours later, and it was sort of a time-sensitive text. Improvement on Wi-Fi, improvement on temperature. It was a new layout. We had sort of that breakers and live breaking and in one section, that whatnot section. It was like a carnival atmosphere. If you didn't like that stuff or didn't need to be in that area, you could literally avoid that area completely. And they moved the Mike Burkus main stage up to the second floor. It was nice and quiet. So you didn't, in years past, the Burkus main stage was near that breakers. And so you'd get all those let's goes and yelling and screaming while you were talking on the main stage. And it became very difficult to hear yourself and others on the panel. So they, kudos to the powers that be. They're trying to do things. No one's perfect, but they are making some decisions to make the experience better. I felt, and again, Wi-Fi, the temperature, the breakers all in one area. It felt like a carnival there. And if you didn't want to go to the carnival, you didn't have to go into that room. Going back to the upstairs, there was an international dealer section. So dealers not from the United States who were coming in from abroad with their inventories to sell, they had sort of their own section, which I thought was kind of neat. I thought it was neat. I don't like the thought about segregating, but I don't think it was meant like that. I think it was to showcase and highlight the worldwide phenomenon, which the hobby now, or really always is, but we're seeing even more so. So I think it was done in a positive fashion, and really glad to see some new wrinkles. Always good, like right. They changed the layout, so if you went last year and you thought it would be the same this year, you were pleasantly surprised, as I was. Some things I noticed. A lot more kids and a lot of kids making some really head scratching big money deals. I remember being at one table and there was a young man. I was looking at the showcases and there was a young man to the right of me. And it was I don't know what he was buying, trying to sort of not be a nosy buddy, but I could hear the negotiation. Whatever he was buying, card or multiple cards, it was a $30,000 deal. Like I said, this kid couldn't be more than 14, 15 years old. He was not with his dad, at least at the table. Would have known someone older at the show itself, but his dad was not with him. He was making his own deal, and it was for $30K. And it's just mind-boggling to think when I was 14 and 15, and I was in the hobby then in 1986 and 87, and I was, if I made $100 deal or $1,000 deal, I thought that was a big deal. And but to these kids now, what they're carrying around in these Zion cases, and the cash they're carrying around, and this was a cash deal. Some pet peeves. Sometimes a lot of people were selling, right? They'd go up to the dealer, hey, are you buying? The dealer would say, well, take a look at what you got. And, the Zion case got put down onto the showcases. And again, it's free enterprise. This is America. I don't want to state anything to you otherwise, but a lot of that was going on, and it made like whatever case that Zion case was on top of, you really couldn't see what cards that dealer had available in that case. So it's sort of, you had to navigate around that. Content creation wise, there was people filming, but it seemed less intrusive than in past years. So a lot of people I didn't recognize doing content creation, but with some crazy rigs, think cameras where they were around the waist and then it came over their back and into their front. They looked like Dr. Octopus from the Spider-Man series, and but it seemed less intrusive than in past years. And I think some of that might be due to I think the aisles were wider. There was more space, a little more elbow room, and that was always, that's always a plus. I did 3 main stage panels. I did, for the first time, Sports Collectors Digest had a writers panel. I was on that with editor Jeff Owens, Greg Bates, writer, and myself and Clemente Lisi, writers. And I had a good time. 45 minutes talking about the year that was and the future, what's coming for the future of the hobby. Then I did a Sports Card Nation panel, and I had Nick Jarman from the Certified Trading Card Association up on the stage, and we talked about what he's trying to do to make the hobby a better and safer place for everybody, on both sides of the aisle. Sellers, companies, consumers, at the whole hobby as a whole. And it's a worthy endeavor. I'm happy to be on the advisory board of that. So me and Nick sort of chopped up what, his course of action and what he wants to make the hobby a safer and better place. On Saturday, in our normal spot, 10 a.m. Chicago time, we did our hobby hotline panel. If you didn't see it live, you can check that out on the Hobby Hotline's YouTube channel. Again, 45 minutes. We talked about the National, because it was done on a Saturday morning when the show was kind of coming down the home stretch. So we shared some of our observations and thoughts of the current National and where the hobby and the National's going in the future. So check that out on Hobby Hotline YouTube channel. Some pet peeves. It was more than one person, but there was almost every table had a buying sign on it, whether it be a little 8x10, piece of paper, or a big bracketed above the table vinyl sign that said buying station or buying. So a lot of people were buying, probably 70-80% of the people set up. But one thing that again, to each their own, you pay for the table, you can put whatever you want in the showcases. One thing which I thought was a weird flex was dealers who put showcases out, those metal Allstate showcases, and just fill them with $100 bills and spread them all out. And it's just a flex, like, hey, look at me, I got $100 bills filling this case. Put some cards in there. I don't want to look at your $100 bills. I know you got money. I have money too. We've established that for the most part. Put some cards in there. Sell your cards, trade your cards, but just putting $100 bills in a showcase and spread them all around, and it just screams, look at me, I got bank. And we don't need I don't know, it's just silly to me. I look at my table space as a dealer now. I'm not setting up at the National, but as precious, man. I'm trying to get out as much in my inventory in sight of potential customers as much as I can. I'm not filling a case with a bunch of money just to flex and show off. So I thought that I could live without. What did I see more of? A lot of significant others, right? Kids, going back, I kind of went off on a lot more kids, young and teenagers. A lot of big money deals come from that sector. Not surprised. Well, it's not a surprise anymore, right? A lot of wives and significant others. Some seem to be active with their male counterparts. Others seem to be sort of hanging back, just sort of along for the ride. Another thing I saw, probably more in my opinion than I should have, and I apologize if I'm being a little crass, but young baby, like I'm not even talking toddlers. I'm talking just a few months old or even younger, whether it be a dad carrying the infant or the mom. I saw a lot of babies, and to me, I don't think that's the place. I don't think that's the place. Now I have a 20-year-old, so it's easy for me to say, but I'm not bringing. If I had a baby, that's not a place I'm bringing a baby. Now it's not saying I wouldn't attend, but I'd make arrangements. Whether that's a family member that's watching my kid, or maybe if not, at the point you can't always make the trip. I get FOMO. I get wanting to be there, but not a place for to me young babies like that. Again, saw numerous of that. But and the other thing I want, we know what's going to happen, right? It happens every year at the National. It happens almost at every show, right? Thefts occur. But here's the one thing I want to say, as a dealer myself. Again, not doing the National. Any show I do with my showcases, those showcases are locked, and I have the keys on my hip. And if someone wants to see something, I can unlock the case, have them look at it, or if I make a sale, I can unlock the case, sell the card, relock the case. Do not tempt fate. If you leave your cases unlocked, I hate to say it like this, but you're sort of advertising trouble. You're making it easier. Just the same as if you leave your front door of your house unlocked, where someone can just walk in and take whatever, jewelry, money, your safe, your cards. Don't make it easy. Lock your door. Can someone still break in? Yeah, it happens every day, every minute. I get it. But why make it easier? And I will tell you, man, and I know something about insurance. I have it. If your case is unlocked, the insurance could refute covering your theft claim. It's like you leave your car door unlocked and your car rate stereo or something else of value in your car is taken, the insurance will probably refuse to pay that. You just made it easy and left your door unlocked. If you locked your door and someone broke in, then you're going to be better. Your coverage is probably going to be covered. So I don't understand why dealers are not locking their case. It's a head scratcher to me. I get it. You want the convenience. You don't want to break out your key every few minutes potentially. But err on the side of caution. Lock your case. Lock your case. And someone will say, "Well, John, I don't lock my cases, but I'm always looking at them." It just takes a distraction. It takes you. You could drop something on the ground, go to pick it up, and someone goes and pulls something out of there and mad dashes away. Just avoid that from a possibility. If someone can pick a lock, sure, but you're going to see that a lot easier than if you leave your cases over it and get distracted and someone can slip a card out without making very much noise or commotion. So when are we going to learn? Well, I've learned my cases are locked, but dealers, please lock your cases. I hate, as a dealer, and it's not even just as a dealer, as someone who loves the hobby, I hate someone get robbed of something they built, right? And don't make it easy. Don't make it easy. You can tell I'm sort of passionate about that as a dealer as well. So, very good national, in my opinion. Went to some of the, went to the PSA registry party on, I believe that was Friday night. Great, great event. Last year they had hosted Jerry Rice with Scott Hansen from the NFL Network. This year was Barry Sanders, another GOAT. And, everyone got a PSA box handed out to them. And in that box was a couple packs and a Barry Sanders slab registry card. And your card was either not signed or signed. And there was 500 cards, 50 were signed. And thankfully, and luckily, mine was. So I got a Barry Sanders certified PSA DNA autographed registry card, which was very cool. My friend Tony D, who was sitting next to me with his son, Anthony, got one as well. So congrats to Anthony. One other person at my table of 10 got one, and a few other people I know got one. So I know about 5 of the 50 Barry Sanders auto to be had at the event. PSA does, you can say whatever you want about them, and I do that too. They did a great job. The food was great. The event was not too short and not too long. It was perfect timing. Scott Hansen, Barry did some photo opportunities. If you pull the Barry base card out of your packs, I didn't. I got the Barry auto, but I didn't get to take a picture with him. Last year, I got to take a picture with Jerry Rice, which I thought was I'll never forget that. And they just put on a great show, a great party for people who enjoy what they do, and gave out some awards to people with like the best sets in sports and non-sports. Again, the food was excellent. And after the event, even when it was over, Scott Hansen, former Syracuse Orangeman football player, now of the Red Zone NFL Network, he stays and chats with everyone, does videos, pictures, talks, just a great down-to-earth guy. Even at one point, someone with his group sort of went up to him, and I was close enough to hear say, "Hey, you're kind of long with people." And it up. And hey, these people are waiting online to see me. I'm going to. It's the least I can. Just really cool to hear a celebrity, and yes, he is a celebrity. Say that, right, and not rush through it. And just great to see that, and I'm very appreciative of that. He cut a little promo for me. You might hear it on if you listen to Sports Card Nation podcast. So that was great. Great dinners. We had our hobby hotline dinner on Saturday night at Harry Carey's. It's kind of become our Saturday night tradition. We had some of the folks from Hobby Hotline there. Small, intimate. We wasn't a ton of people. About 6 to 8 people. We had a couple people even not a part of Hobby Hotline, friends of ours to attend. It's just a good way to decompress, enjoy a great meal with hobby fraternity we're all part of. And it's one of the things, as crazy as it sounds, I look forward to the Hobby Hotline dinner on Saturday with some real, and just a great event. Right now I'm still just trying to play catch up with content and orders. It never seems to fail. Whenever I go on this trip, I have a stack of, or I don't put my stuff on vacation, and I just seem to have a stack of orders catch up on when I get back home. I'm tired. My Aura ring says I'm 14 hours behind in sleep. I probably have to sleep a whole day even to get back on track. That's not going to happen. I do have a couple weeks coming up here with no summer school and no regular school yet, sort of to maybe catch up on some of that, take some naps, sleep in, and hopefully get that 14 hours sleep deprived number gone, or at least a lot lower. So I hope if you went to the National, I hope you enjoyed the National. If you didn't go this year, I understand sometimes it's hard to go every year. If you didn't go this year, I hope, and you want to go, hope you get to the next one. Again, thanks everyone that I met there in person, whether it's the first time or I met you already. I enjoy those conversations, talking about life, cards, anything, right? I really do appreciate those interactions. So, with that being said, I think I've sort of covered everything I wanted to cover, and we'll see you next time.